exactly sure about what it is. I'm not exactly sure why it is. But there has been a proliferation of homeless people, roofless neighbors in our streets, in our squares, throughout our community.
Savannah needs additional tourism. Savannah needs additional tourism.
I mean, I appreciate our tourism community. I appreciate our hoteliers in particular. I appreciate our tourism community. I appreciate our hoteliers.
Don't you think it's time for the city of Savannah to have an honest tourism management plan? Let SCAB start paying its fair share? And the hospitality industry needs to increase its wages? The impacts of new growth should not cost residents. All local elected officials on council and commission should have term limits. We're working hard to accomplish these policies. We need your help. Please contribute whatever you can, $5, $10, or $20, by going to bettersavannah.org. Donate. Thank you.
The following show and broadcast is a production of Better Savannah, an independent expenditure committee dedicated to better policy outcomes at the state and local level. The views, opinions, and statements made by the hosts and/or their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Better Savannah.
Back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
John,
Yeah,
how you doing tonight, buddy?
good. How are you?
I think I might have I got us hit with a copyright there. I don't know. It might have been just a little too long on audio because man, that audience number just straight
On the
dropped.
when does it come back?
I don't know. Y'all let us know in the chat if the stream's working.
That Jeb Bush clip was
Yeah, it might have been a little too much for the old
algorithm.
Facebook algorithm here.
Or should we rebroadcast and trim that down?
I mean, maybe, John, we could.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that fool
You
'em?
know,
It certainly would be not out of compliance.
I don't know. You let me know what you think we should do, but we certainly were carrying a good number, and then it just
Yeah.
dropped. Y'all let us know. It's starting to build back up here. Get some people on YouTube. I'll try to repost it later. We'll just go forward. You know how it goes with these algorithms, man. I tell you, that is really just the world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you got to respect artists and their work.
Starting to come back now. All right, so it's been a very busy week. I'm tired. It's been an exciting week, I think.
Yeah.
I think that I think we see a real chance for this T-SPLOS referendum to go down on Tuesday, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But John, you went to first off, I'll say I went to the first T-SPLOS town hall that was a week or so ago, and John, you went to. Thanks for the feedback, Rebecca. It just helps us try to share it. I get it. All right, I'll work on that. But I went to the first T-SPLOS forum. You went to one the other night.
Yeah.
And you were there alone.
I was. I was in a brand new East
Tell
Los
us about it.
84 auditorium. Probably had a capacity of 200, maybe 250 people. Beautiful new chairs, lime green, oatmeal Berber carpeting. Really impressive. Anyway, I thought I was in the wrong place. I thought I'd been given misdirection, but up in the corner, 100 rows ahead of me was a person, and it was Chester Ellis, all alone, seated with his back to me. And then somebody came in. I said, "Oh my God, I'm glad somebody else. I'm not the only citizen here." And the second person to come in after us was Michael Kegler, the acting county manager. And I thought, "Oh boy, this is going in. We're building audience, but in the wrong direction." And then right at 7 o'clock kickoff time, somebody else came in. I heard him walking up, and I said, "Oh my God, at least it's going to be 2-on-2." And it was Bobby Lockett, the second district county commissioner. So yes, Rebecca, they took all my questions. As a matter of fact, I moved from about the 8th row up to the front row, so it was almost like an intimate between the ferns opportunity between me and Chester. And it never got any more people. There was a county police officer there. I don't think you can count her. She was working the event. So there you got 3 bureaucrats and 1 citizen, and off we went to the races. And boy, was it illuminating.
Can you give our listeners and viewers some of the back and forth that you had with County Chairman Chester Ellis? Because I thought that was highly illuminating.
Okay. The format of the thing is Chester goes through his PowerPoint presentation. It's about 10 minutes long, and at the end of that presentation, I raised my hand, and Chester kind of looked around the room as if there was somebody else to ask the question. There wasn't. It was me. So he goes, "Okay, what's your question?" And I said, "Honestly, Chairman Ellis, this presentation that you've just delivered, I have to come to one conclusion, one overarching conclusion, and I want to see if you agree with me or if I'm missing something." I said, Your presentation essentially directly says, that growth in Chatham County has to cost taxpayers money." And he said, "You're correct," which I thought, wow, we didn't try to pivot or spin or dodge that. He just straight up said, "You're correct." So uh, I said, "Well, let me ask another question." And he said, "Of course." I said, uh, you seem to be asking the residents that are already here in the community, in the neighborhoods, to tax themselves, to create the revenue, to do all these projects you want to do." I said, uh, let's face it, Benton Boulevard, if it had been built with impact fees, uh, this would not be an issue. Those roads would be expanded and in place. I said, when it comes to the train overpass elevation on President Street, I said, uh, in another presentation, you and the mayor agreed that the length of the trains and the volume of the train traffic now is in part, if not in most, the result of increase of port activity. He said, "That's correct." So I said, "Why aren't you asking um, the port to chip in some money?" He said, "Well, we're working on that." I said, "Well, how about impact fees?" I said, do you all have an impact fee ordinance at the county?" And he said, "No, we don't." And I said, "Why don't you?" And he said, "Well, none of my predecessors saw fit to do it." And he went back through Lukakis and Al Scott and, Billy Hare, and back to the beginning of time when I was on the commission. And he said, nobody has seen fit to look at that as a revenue source. I said, well, come on. It's a viable best practice, and it does not ask the existing people to uh, pay. It creates a alternative funding source that most communities are using and have since 1990. He goes, well, we'll look into that. We'll investigate that. So anyway, it was just the bottom line is, Chuck, Chester said, he almost mimicked Jay Melder's ultimatum at the Downtown Neighborhood Association. We just need the revenue, and we're either going to get it from the sales tax T-SPOS passage, or we're going to increase your property taxes. So gone are the days of the sales pitch for SPLOST is 35% comes from somebody else, so it's a great value. Done. Voting in a sales tax keeps your property taxes stable, they don't increase. Done. That's a big lie. So essentially, we're just being extorted now. And on one hand, I appreciate the candor. I mean, we're not trying to spin it or, left-handedly throw a slider, or a curveball across the plate. We're just coming right down the plate, fastball style. Sorry, it's World Series time. And this is the bottom line, guys. You either approve this or we jack up the millage rates and we pay it from property owners.
Just sticking with this general topic of T-SPLOS before we move on to the state of our city and a response. We've been back and forth on this T-SPLOS, battling it out, and we tried to get an editorial in the paper, and had to trim it down to 250 words, which is a pretty arbitrary number, thanks to Adam Van Brimmer. But more importantly, I just want to put some things in context for people. In 2021, that was last year, special elections, Fort Wentworth, Tybee, all that stuff. Only 22,500 voters countywide voted in that East Bluffs referendum. It passed with 69% of the vote. In 2019, 42,500 voters voted in the SPLOST countywide election. That's SPLOST 7. That's the canal stuff. There's some affordable housing monies in there. But in the 2012 T-SPLOST referendum, about 48,000 voters voted, and it lost.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put this comment in the chat for everybody so that they can see all of those numbers, because I just think it's a very telling tale when you look at it. 2021, 22,000 votes, it passed. 2019, 42,500 votes, it passed. 2012, 48,000, and it lost. And just going over to the early voting numbers as of yesterday, right? Just a little bit more than 47,660 voters have had their votes processed and approved already. This number is going to finish, probably close to 55,000, 58,000, maybe 60,000 by the end of early voting tomorrow afternoon. And then certainly there is just a ton of votes left to cast on Tuesday, election day. So this looks like it's going to fail. And I think I agree with what you told me probably yesterday. I think, John, this would be the biggest, political upset, I think, in recent history that I can remember, short of the 2019 elections, which, I would even say they're pretty much on par.
City elections, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
well, Chuck, what those numbers that you put up confirm and tell us is they like to run these sales tax referendums as special elections or smaller turnout elections, because all they have to do is to get their band of friends and people that spoon off of the SPLOST money to go out and vote. The minute that you put it into a general election with high voter turnout, that dilutes down their circle of friends. Their Verizon plan becomes, just a little tiny thing compared to a big number. So I share your perspective, and I sure don't like being extorted, but you know what? There is some litmus testing that sales tax revenue prevents from happening. If they raise the millage rates, Chuck, you can vote them out of office. If you pass the tax on yourself through a referendum, it's kind of like, well, nobody's to blame. You did it to yourself. So I like the frankness. I'm scared to death of, as we'll see in the mayor's comments from his State of the City address, without lost the local option sales tax, he sees a minimum of an 8 mil increase. I think that's a 66% increase overnight.
And I think we would agree that that's probably on the low side.
Well, it depends on how much cutting they do. As you and I have discussed, the other option is to cut the bejesus out of services. Now, that brings up a real interesting convo about where do you cut? Where do you cut 4 million from without somebody, getting pissed off? It's pretty hard to do. Much easier just to tack on a millage rate and hope for the best. But if that happens, everybody on council, particularly in the majority, had better start running for the exits.
All right. So,
Can I make one
go ahead.
addendum
Make another point before we
on
start.
the
'Cause this is going to take a while. This is going to be a long one.
okay. Well,
Go ahead.
I,
Go ahead.
no, I forgot it. All right.
No, I'm not trying to come down on you. I'm sorry, pal.
All
You
right.
know,
I just want to.
tell the
I don't know.
story.
I don't know if it's credit. I guess it is credit. I want to say that a week ago at the second T-Splosh public dog and pony show with Chester Ellis, Jeannie Seaver, friend of the show,
Sure.
said
Right now, absolutely.
said, "Hey, Chairman Ellis, it's the worst possible time financially, economically, with inflation to be doing this. People are hurting. Do you understand that?" And of course, it's on our site. Go to the page and view it for yourself. And it's gotten almost 2,000 organic views, which blows my mind. Chester said, "Listen, I understand. I understand that it's a tough economic climate right now. The cost of everything's going through the roof, but I'm doing okay myself personally." I think Chester got smacked pretty hard for that. Now, Tuesday night at Garrison, he got the same question. He got it from me, and his answer was, "I understand how difficult times are. I understand the pressure of inflation, the cost of living, gas, and I too am suffering. Chester Ellis is hurting too." So,
All right, just make clear what you just said, because I want everybody to hear the video that we got from that one I went to. Let's play this video and then repeat what he said the other night.
Struggling financially to buy groceries and buy gas.
It's higher.
Yes, are we struggling?
It's higher, but that's an individual question
Okay.
as to whether you're struggling or not. Because I can say personally, I'm not struggling.
Well, you're citizens of Chatham, I guarantee.
Right.
I'm not struggling.
A lot of us are struggling.
yeah, me personally, I'm doing just fine. So now he's amended that, realized that he shouldn't have said that. Whether it's true or not, he should have left that alone and just recognized the community's struggle with the economy. So anyway, he walked that back, Chuck.
Well, this is our last show before election night. I think we'll come on maybe sometime, maybe around 9:45, because probably 10 o'clock we'll start to see some results, John, because of the law with the Secretary of State needing bulk of the results in by 11 p.m. basically.
Okay.
And then whenever you're kind of through with it and you want to go to bed, I might pick it up in our members Facebook group. Speaking of which, this is episode 103. It's
Wow.
Thursday, November 3rd. Last week's episode was a members only update on Lost and T-Splosh and going into the elections, which was a fascinating conversation with a lot of kind of really good inside baseball stuff about what's going on between the county and the city. But of course, last night, Savannah Mayor Van Johnson gave his State of the City speech, and I don't want to get too much into this right now in terms of possible manufactured consent, all this type of arguments. There's a lot to talk about here, but I will just say it was not very well attended outside of a large group of Chatham County Youth Commission children and parents. I'm not gonna accuse of anything right now. All I'm just gonna say is, compared to his inauguration, which I just remember people scrambling to get to. Everybody was asking for tickets. People couldn't get in.
Right.
It was like everybody in Savannah was there.
Yeah, people got enthusiastic like they were in 2019 because, Chuck, they've been beaten to death by COVID for 2 solid years. They came out of it into a world of $4 or $5 gasoline and major cost increases. And quite frankly, the mayor has. I made a note here that the mayor's message is really a great message. His goals are really the right goals. The problem is, although he says he's made significant progress, he hasn't. So I give him, I have to give him credit for identifying, you know, wages, housing, uh, environment, congestion, growth, tourism. I mean, he touches all the right subjects, but he doesn't deliver solutions. And as Keisha said last night, rhetoric, don't mistake it for progress. It's not. You can't you, you can't get nutrition from rhetoric.
So here's how we're going to do this, John. We're going to
Okay.
pick this up kind of midway through his bragging about updates, because I mean this is a long speech. I want us to try our best to get through it,
All right.
but you just tell me when you want to pause it, and we'll address the lies and innuendo as they come. Right? I mean, really.
We'll calmly and collectively
We'll
and
do our best.
do our best. Yes.
Just let me know whenever you want to stop it.
All right.
Ordering of 13 new trucks to assist in collection activities. In addition, they have overseen the purchase of millions of dollars in police and fire vehicles, including 106 new police vehicles, which have been ordered and are on their way. Another one of our basic services.
Look at the line right before where you
Did I start it too late? I'm sorry.
I mean,
You
I
took
can
notes earlier, right? Read it out.
I took notes. He says, we are getting the big things done. And more importantly, we're getting the hard things done. And then he says, we bought 106 new trash trucks, or police cars, electric vehicles. And then he goes into the water department. So just as a standalone comment of the mayors that we're getting the big things done, including the hard things. Chuck, how hard is it to spend money and buy 107 police cars or 40 trash trucks, sanitation trucks, or 24 hybrid electric
The record amount of property tax revenue and sales tax revenue and ARPA money, $55 million. It's not hard.
I just don't. The reality does not match the claim or the statement. I mean, sure, that's a lot of money, but that's what purchasing does, man. And that's not hard. Might be a little time consuming, but come on, man. Finding a cure for cancer is hard. Finding a solution to, the 50 or 60 people that got bounced out from under the Truman Parkway, that's hard. I get it. Go ahead. Keep playing.
Water and sewer billing has been a pain point for our residents and for us due to antiquated billing practices. This year, we committed to permanently fixing these issues. This means an investment of more than $5.3 million to fund the transition from a mostly manual meter reading process to an advanced metering infrastructure system. This is a major step forward as we work towards modernizing our water meter reading operation, which was a commitment that we made in the 2022 budget. Now, it'll still take some time for all the new infrastructure to be installed, but the progress is ongoing, and we are determined and committed to see it through.
Let me keep a little foot out the door for some wiggle room. Let me keep a little foot out the door for some wiggle room. I know it's a big issue, but we fixed it. We fixed it, but it might not be all the way fixed. That's how I translate that.
Okay. What Van should have said is, if there's anything we've learned from the Broughton Streetscapes project, is that projects don't always come together on time.
Oh man, I don't think he addressed Broughton Street one time.
No, of course not.
In his speech, I don't think he addressed it one time. That's astounding.
The other point, and I'll try to make this brief, and I harp on this all the time, Chuck. Having a reliable water bill will be a benefit to citizens. There's no doubt about it. They're inaccurate. They're glitchy. You don't get billed for 2 months, and then you get hit with a gigantic one. And that's all an improvement. But make no mistake, parking and water are the two profit centers for the city of Savannah, the biggest ones. And because they're enterprise accounts, none of that profit that's made from parking fees or water and sewer bills
That's right.
goes back into affordable housing or police or any of the other things.
It's probably somebody telling you that our stream got taken down on Facebook. Probably. I don't
No,
know.
it's Jim Reich is telling me that Kyla Brown is on doing some live talk to promote T-Splost.
Oh, I'm sure she is. Yeah, man. All these people got to come online. They're making a big push at the end. I was just talking to you before the show about how Citizens for Progress was on all the 5 o'clocks, on all 3 stations, and they tweaked their message with federal funding matches. I mean, like, it's desperation time. More on that later. Let's continue the speech.
In other areas, such as Recorder's Court, focused on making one of those core services, the processing of citations, more streamlined through a new e-citation system. Nobody likes to receive a citation, but sometimes you do. And so when you do, you want to be able to deal with it and move on to the rest of your life quickly. Before this innovative technology, it took up to 6 weeks to receive, process, schedule court dates. Now it just takes a couple of days and eliminates the need to keep track of a paper citation. Mobility enhancements and transportation safety has also been key focuses for us this year. So far, in 2022, our traffic engineering team has overseen 431 sidewalk repairs, 721 pothole repairs, resurfacing of 29.4 lane miles of roadways, installation of 15 traffic tables, and a partridge in a pear tree. They have done it all. Let's give them a round of applause for that.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Please clap. Okay. Please clap.
The city of Savannah acknowledges that traffic fatalities and serious injuries are preventable, and even one traffic fatality is one far too many. Between 2016 and 2021, there were 92 traffic fatalities and 730 serious injuries in Savannah, with an average of 18.4 deaths and 146 serious injuries each year. And Georgia ranks 9th in the nation for the most dangerous state for people to travel.
Vision Zero coming up.
Savannah renewed its commitment to safer streets in 2022 with the adoption of Vision Zero, a strategy.
Okay, I just got to say, John, I attended that meeting at Massey Heritage School with Jay Melder, where they all admitted that Vision Zero, was just like an idea, a framework. It wasn't anything other than the ultimate need is going to be more enforcement.
Yeah.
And that's not what we've got right now.
Yeah. Well, even stepping back to his streets inventory, I mean, I am not wooed or brought to applause because 20,000 sidewalk cracks of more than 2 millimeters were repaired. I mean, it is almost a laundry list to wow, when in reality, I wish I had the time to look at other comparable cities and how many miles they do or how many sidewalk repairs they manifest. I just have my doubts that it's significant. It's probably on par or average. And in a State of the City address, when you turn something that's average into something exceptional, that's some magic right there.
Sorry, something happened with the internet. I mean, I'm telling you, man, they took our stream down on Facebook tonight, pal.
No
You know,
kidding.
it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. It's I don't know. I thought Elon Musk taking over Twitter was going to be about free speech or whatnot, but perhaps the Facebook is really the real target there. I mean, I appreciate everybody migrating over to YouTube, who's watching us still. But yeah, not my favorite when the algorithm strikes, John.
Yeah, well, if you lift Jeb Bush, you can only lift so much.
Right?
Right.
I mean, it's not even letting me play this video on Savannah's Facebook, on the city government's Facebook page anymore. It's ridiculous.
Well, I've got 4 pages of notes.
Oh no, I got it now. Just
okay.
You just hang on.
Yeah, I will say because we're not going to be able to play the whole thing, and most viewers are not going to watch it on their own. It's just too tedious. But we've watched it in its entirety, and I started to notice early on he was doing this weird thing of telling people, "Now's when you applause." I mean, I've been in a lot of taping recording studios, and they've got applause signs, to cue the audience when to applaud, when to stop applauding. Obviously, the Cultural Arts Center doesn't have that technology, so Van did it manually, and he did it 27 times in an hour and 15 minutes. He had to elicit and solicit the audience to applaud. I mean, I kind of in a way felt bad for the guy, Chuck.
Look, I did feel a little bad that,
Good.
the technology, I mean, their stream broke up last night too. They weren't able to do that either.
Yeah.
Let's pick this up where he starts talking about crime.
His message last night was the city is rejuvenated. I'd like to see
It's
our
rejuvenated, but I think the message was let them eat cake. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
All right.
For everyone to live, work, and play. And we know that engagement is a big part of that. So this year we launched our Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, which we call ONES. ONES launched in January and have been very active ever since, focusing on a collaborative community approach to neighborhood safety and crime reduction. Part of what ONES does is to enable other agencies to amplify their work by administering grant funds. This year, we provided ONES with $1 million in grant funding, and they have been working hard to put that funding to good use. One of their successes has been instituting or reinstituting midnight basketball programming in partnership with Recreation and Leisure Services and Savannah Youth City. Yes, this program has engaged hundreds of young people in our community and gave them a positive outlet. And I had to come out there a couple of nights and serve some of those young boys and show them I'm not as old as I look.
I ain't as good as I once was.
I couldn't do it for too long.
Yeah, who is, man?
Good once as I ever was.
1.5 hours out there, I was vicious. In addition, ONES obtained the City Council approval to initiate a violence interrupters contract this year that will include a team of credible messengers who will work proactively to respond to volatile situations and deter violence. We know this is people-based, it's community-based. And as we prepare for the summer season, the city decided to go in hard. We knew we could not arrest our way out of this. We had to love our way out of it. We had to work our way out of it. We had to engage our way out of it. So we took action to keep youth and young adults engaged through Summer Fun and Safety, which serves as a unifier for existing programs while also creating new recreational activities. Coupled with the Savannah Police Department's 100 Days of Summer initiative, we saw a major decrease
100 officers down,
from the
though.
same summer period in 2021. Check this out. No, you'll clap in a minute. Homicides down 36%. That's where you clap.
Please clap.
Commercial.
Please clap. Okay, so I want to prep everybody for the statistics he's running through right now. John, according to the news broadcast that I watched, I believe that these numbers are from July of this year till now compared to July of last year till now. So they're not really looking at the first half of the year before Minter left. But yeah. I just want to contextualize what I think. And I could be wrong, but that's what I think the context is.
Robbery down 67%. Residential robbery down 22%. Domestic assault with a gun down 40%. It works. Your city also invested in police technology initiatives over the last year, part of a $750,000 commitment in our budget, including a new training simulator, expansion of ShotSpotter bears that we started, and now we have a presence in every single district in our city. Yes.
Rep, can I say something?
32.
Run it.
This is the sort of equivocation that absolutely drives me bonkers with this mayor. In his State of the Cities, in this speech, he is the biggest advocate for public safety, the police department, the officers in the department, you would ever dream possible. Okay, he's like Bob Hope doing a tour in Vietnam for the troops. Okay, what's the real truth, Chuck? The truth is he protected Minter while the same officers that he now proclaims as his biggest priority were telling him and pleading with him to get rid of Minter, that Minter was single-handedly decimating the Savannah Police Department, that officers were leaving because of the chief. For 2 years, he sat on his hands and protected Minter until Minter got a plum federal job, which I imagine Melder probably helped orchestrate, given his contacts in Washington, D.C. So I'm a pro public safety guy, and I'm doing all this. The natural question is, yeah, but you didn't get rid of Minter. You let the police department erode, and tons of experienced officers left, and now you're their best friend. I'm not buying it. Pump it or dump it, dump it.
I don't think they're buying it either. Well, let's keep going.
All right.
New flock cameras, which read license plates and send instant alerts to law enforcement officers when the cameras identify license plates that match those on lists of cars that are stolen or are otherwise of interest to the police. And the new Brief Cam technology service, which will allow police officers to review hours of video in minutes. Beyond technology, our police department is expanding our behavioral health unit, which has been an enormous success and a model throughout the nation, and also reinstituted numerous public engagement activities to form a stronger bond with our community, including roll call in the streets, which has seen hundreds of Savannahans out and engage with our police officers and our command staff. The city also contributed $1 million this year to support Chatham County's 911 dispatch and records management systems. We're all in this together. And Savannah Fire is continuing its commitment to provide emergency medical services, initiated CPR 97 times this year. 97 times. Saving 12 lives in the process, which exceeds the national average. Let's give a big round of applause for that.
Our poverty exceeds the national average too, by a lot.
Safety also includes making sure that individuals have a place that they can afford to call home. This city council passed historic investments in housing and homelessness this year as our city organization focused on these topics while also focusing on community support initiatives. In our 2022 budget, this city invested $19 million to address issues related to housing and homelessness, made possible thanks to a $55 million investment in American Rescue Plan Act funding. This year, this city council supported the creation of Housing Savannah Incorporated, a new non-governmental organization that will lead local efforts to increase community awareness, support, and investment in the Housing Savannah Plan, including increasing Savannah Affordable Housing Fund investments to more than $10 million annually by 2032. The city's Housing Savannah investment is on pace to benefit 525 households and up to 875 households when we include private and other investments in housing. This year, the city of Savannah assisted 200 homeowners with housing repairs to their homes. This year, 49 Savannah renters received security deposit assistance. This year, 28 homes were purchased by first-time homebuyers in Savannah. Which last year, they didn't have their own homes.
I just want to put a little context on this.
The housing discussion is very key,
Yeah. You know, there's approximately 30,000 people in the city of Savannah living at or below the poverty line. There's probably another 20,000 that are a paycheck or two away from joining that unfortunate bottom tier. For Van to make an impact with 30,000 people and figuring a single mom and two kids, you know, 3-person household essentially. He's got to come up with assistance, including housing, in over 10,000 households. So adding 575 households with just financial assistance is not terribly significant. He goes on to mention that there are 49 people that the city got their rental deposits back for them. I don't know why that's something you take a lot of credit for. I mean, this is a big city. We're talking about little tiny dribs and drabs that get put into the tumbler and polished up and are presented as diamonds. It's zirconium at best being presented as diamonds. I'm just not impressed.
All manufactured consent.
Yeah. I just hope people are smart enough to realize the scope of our problems with the lack of affordable housing, the scope of our problems with low wages, particularly in the hospitality industry, and not buy into this highly tumbled, highly polished derivative that is absolutely meaningless in the big scheme of solving these problems. This is rhetoric without progress. I'm done.
Now they do. This year in Savannah, 13 homes are under construction for first-time home buyers.
See what I mean? 13. Now, if it were 1,300, I would be impressed.
This year, 33 blighted, abandoned properties were acquired to clear title and make way for new homes. This year in Savannah, 56 homes were funded for persons experiencing homelessness, including 4 Savannah Garden homes, 12 tiny homes for veterans, and 40 cottages at Dundee Cottages, which we will break ground on tomorrow. The latter two projects represent a historic $6.5 million investment for our roofless neighbors. We're not going to run from it because it's hard. We're going to run to it because it's hard.
Okay. You know, that attitude of we're not going to run from it because it's hard, we're going to run to it because it's hard. Where does that come in for, impact fees and term limits and all of the things that the 2019 election was decided on?
You're spot on. They've run from all the hard stuff, not run to it. They've run away from the hard stuff. And that's why we like Kesha and Alicia and Brunetta is they don't run from the hard stuff. They're the only ones.
They run into the fire.
Exactly. But he wants to be the fireman. And they're the arsonist.
Also made major investments toward the increasing of affordability and availability of housing for persons experiencing homelessness, while also funding outreach services. 32 beds at Parker's House for unaccompanied women by Union Mission, which is now open and full. 12 homes under construction in Savannah Gardens. $155,000 to fund a street outreach team through the Homeless Authority, and $226,000 to fund a day center through Union Mission now.
It's 3 years into their administration.
Partners, Mr. Melder, to establish an interagency council on homelessness to finally and better coordinate and expand our reach and impact. That means we're all rowing in the same direction now. We also launched several scholarship programs this year to help give Savannahans a hand up to a better financial future. Yes. This city has provided forklift, culinary arts, and child care certifications through partnerships instituted by our Human Services and Economic Development departments. You can clap for them. All Taffany Young is going to do is smile anyway. The City of Savannah's Human Services Department launched the Emerge Job Training Program to provide employment training scholarships for income-eligible residents of Savannah. This program featured 2 training opportunities: Child Development Associate, available at Moses Jackson Advancement Center, and Certified Kitchen Cook, available at the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center. These scholarship programs have assisted 47 Savannahans with full scholarships. And we have sponsored 100 forklift training scholarships for Savannah residents. Yes, you can clap.
That is so sad.
$13,500 workforce development donation covered all costs associated with Savannah Technical College's forklift operator safety training program, which is designed to ensure that students have the necessary skills for the safe operation of a powered industrial truck. Why is that important? Because our ports are growing and we need people to work those forklifts. And when we know people are trained to do better, they do better. And so while I'm extremely happy about the Hyundai plant, I'm asking, where is the training? What are we doing to prepare Savannahans for these opportunities first before 8,100 people have to come this way? And so I'm calling on everybody engaged, from the state to CETA to Hyundai itself, to ensure that our local schools, from Savannah Tech to Savannah State to Georgia Southern University to our high schools, are preparing our people to be prepared for these opportunities. And we will do that.
Chuck, you got to.
So if I sound like a broken record,
get out of this educational stuff. It's so.
I told you this was going to be hard to get through. We don't have that much left, though. What do you want to comment on?
Well, we could go to the Lost and T-Splost comments.
The next piece he talks about is the wages going up at City Hall, and then then he gets into some really heavier issues.
Yeah, let's go to the heavier issues because all of this filler is statistically not meaningful. It sounds good, and that's really the encapsulation of the whole 3 years of this administration, which has been autocratically delivered through Van Johnson. Even his own troopers don't get their own voice. So rhetoric is not progress, and you can't conflate aspirational speeches into improvements on the ground. And I think he knows it. I just don't know how much to let him off the hook for COVID. Probably a fair amount, but at the end of the day, impact fees could have been done a year and a half ago, maybe even two. There's no reason why that couldn't have been that inside work and studies couldn't have been done during the COVID phase. Term limits they brought up in council and then lost all interest in it. We're still waiting for this miraculous pilot fee discussion, this brave conversation that he claims he's having with Paula Wallace about SCAD paying something. Meanwhile, their fleet of buses and cars and security vehicles roll around the streets, not paying anything for, property tax, roads. Their students get accosted or robbed or beat up, and the police department has to lend assistance, and ambulances have to take them to the ER. So, it's just an awful lot of rhetoric without much progress.
All right, I just want to say, he spent time talking about the minimum wage raises, a ton of time on the task forces, which, again, a lot of rhetoric, a lot of campaign style stuff, but this is where the meat starts. Okay.
Okay.
We have gotten a lot done in the last year, both big and small. But we know that there is more ahead to do, and we're going to be transparent about it. Over the next several weeks, we are faced with a serious and definitive December 31st deadline to negotiate a new distribution agreement between Chatham County and 8 municipalities for the local option sales tax. Without this funding, Savannah faces a loss of more than $55 million, and it will take 8 mills in property taxes to make up for those lost funds. So we are ready to sit down and hash this out with Chatham County to come to a reasonable agreement. We will get this done because we have to get it done. It makes no sense to me to celebrate our lowest property rate in 35 years and just to have to raise property taxes to unaffordable rates in this economy.
Notice the subtle change. The subtle change. Right? Notice the subtle change, right?
They had no idea that this was coming.
It makes no sense. Now, instead of bragging, now it's really on the line. Let's continue. This is going to get even better.
Also, have to ask our county partners, I'm asking you. It has to be fair. It has to make sense. Loss is for tax stabilization, and we need our taxes to remain stable. We're all in this together. We also absolutely must deal with the transportation issues and needs in our community, from a lack of capacity of roadways in the Highlands to the need for a traffic solution
30 seconds on
in
Lost,
a
a ton of time on
railway-related backup
T-Splost. Watch.
along President Street, and roads and sidewalks throughout our city that need some tender, loving care. I want you to know I voted for T-Splost because I know that it is guaranteed funding for those transportation-related issues. And I'm encouraging our residents to educate themselves on the Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. On the ballot, it says 1% transportation tax, and determine whether you want to vote for it. Yeah.
Yeah, applaud.
Even that, John.
Yeah.
This is who this mayor is. He wants to be on the exact 50-yard line of a spectrum on every issue, always wanting to have it both ways. I want you to know I voted for it, but you look it up and you decide whether you want to support it. I mean, I just think that's a recognition that this T-Splost is not popular, and I think there's more to coming.
All right.
I voted for T-Splost to keep a promise to our neighbors in the Highlands who struggle to get in and out of their community because the infrastructure did not keep pace with development.
Yeah, why didn't
you want to take that one? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, look at this. What was this before? Unincorporated Chatham County, right, Chuck?
Until 2002, 3, 4, Michael
Before it
Brown.
got annexed. Hello?
I'm still here, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So look at it. This is a Michael Brown. I remember this very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Brown paraded out what a terrific opportunity would be for the city of Savannah to annex this section of the county. Okay. Homes were already being built out there, lots of them. And he knew that lots more were going to be built. And they'd already done a deal for water and sewer. So Michael Brown, basically snookered Russ Abolt into an annexation into the municipal boundaries of the city of Savannah for the Highlands. Well, no impact fees were charged when that area started to develop. When Michael Brown took it in as an annexed area, he should have asked for a lump sum payment that would have represented the infrastructure payments through impact fees, even though they didn't exist. That should have been the deal to the county to bring it in. But no, Michael Brown told us that the property tax base of the existing homes and the future development would more than pay what was necessary to bring them into the city. Now we know, just like now we know the Canal District is a critical project, not voted by voters, not funded anywhere, but it's critical to the arena to connect to downtown. Now we know the truth. Well, now we know the truth.
Same Michael Brown they brought in during COVID. I mean, my gosh, man.
Yeah. So
there's a ton more that gets worse. I'm telling you, this is the meat here. This is where it gets to the meat.
And they did not want the truck ban in the Highlands. We honored that. We had to find a way to pay the $24.5 million to expand Benton Boulevard both north and south of Jimmy DeLoach. I am supporting T-Splost because I'm supporting them. I voted for T-Splost to provide sidewalks and bike paths and resurfacing throughout our city, from the south side to the downtown, from the east side to the west side, and everywhere in between. The best thing about T-Splost is that visitors pay about 40% of it. And I think that visitors should help pay for the things that we need in our city. Now, if T-Splost doesn't pass, it'll be incumbent upon city staff and our city council to find the other how much is it? $145 million to move important projects forward. You'll still get what you need, but it's going to take a whole lot longer and it's going to cost a whole lot more.
So there's the mirroring of Chester Ellis's threats. Right?
Yeah, but Van is smoother with it.
Much smoother.
But no matter how you slice it, it's an extortion warning, and that's why, Chuck, I think it's going to fail. I mean, people do not like being forced at the end of a bayonet to tax themselves. But Van says he voted for it. Well, good for you, Van. We're not voting for it. So go ahead and raise our millage rates. You'll be a one-term mayor.
That's right. Third straight one-term mayor.
Yep.
And though I was able to highlight a lot of the progress we have made in laying the groundwork to address homelessness in our community, we are a long way from completing this work. In the coming years, we will need to maintain our focus on this issue and continue to work with our partners to make sure that no one in Savannah, no one who wants a roof over their head has to go without one. Likewise, our investments in public safety have shown promise and progress, but we cannot relax our posture toward reducing violence in Savannah. One death, one rape, one domestic abuse incident, one suicide, one human trafficking incident are one too many. We must remain committed to community engagement, education, and violence interruption as we work together to make our city safer with each passing day. And we know that financial well-being and food insecurity remain serious problems, especially amid unprecedented levels of inflation that we are currently seeing. Our city continues to work to offer pathways to financial success, and we must continue the partnerships we have and form new ones to provide a very capable workforce with the tools needed to compete for high-wage jobs.
The real partners for success and profits are the people that coughed up the $125,000 to try
it's a plea to say we have to hold the line on status quo. That's the course. You know, his message is we are going to stay the course.
Well, it is, Chuck, but there's a new wrinkle in it, and that is the gun that's pointed at our head with a higher millage rate.
Yep.
We never heard that before. This is desperation.
Hail Mary time. More to come.
Addressing the current and future service demands of our city. By focusing on the basics, investing in our communities, public safety, and Team Savannah, and focusing and maintaining a focus on addressing the housing, homelessness, and community needs in our city, we are continuing to get better each and every day. So, Mayor Johnson used to talk about talking truth.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. I began my term by asking that all of you imagine the city of Savannah as a dining room table at Thanksgiving dinner. I said that we would add more extension leaves and chairs to provide more of our citizens with a seat at the table. We want to include folks who have been left out and locked out and people who in the past have felt abandoned. Despite the impact of an unforeseen, novel, global pandemic, where this community lost 881 of our family, friends, and neighbors to the coronavirus, with the help of our medical professionals and the effective, fervent prayers of the righteous, we have prevailed, and in the words of Langston Hughes, we are still here. In my life, I've dealt with the very present needs of my mother in New York as she dealt with some serious health issues. I continue to walk the long journey with our family as my father endures the insidious impact of Alzheimer's. During this time, I fought and won my battle against cancer. Yeah. As a matter of fact, next week will make a year. While still being present in the moment at crime scenes and in hospitals supporting victims and families of violent crime in my city. We have expanded the table of our neighbors without homes and those who live and work in poverty. We've expanded the table for the LGBTQ plus community and people of all faiths, so people who don't have a faith. And we've opened up opportunities for small, mid-sized, and large businesses, African-American, Latinos, Greek, Irish, Indian, Asians, and every marginalized group. We have created opportunities for women, the middle and working class, the elders, and the young. We've included the downtown, midtown, south side, and every community around and in between. It's been a trying and yet productive 3 years.
Oh, man.
But it brings me no joy to say that after personal and national struggles, my greatest frustration has not been with those who are seated at the table. My greatest frustration has been with the host of the table. Our city council, who members were elected to be servant leaders of our great city. Our city has had to witness some of the infighting, the backbiting, the slander, and threatened physical altercations, many of which have been directed toward me. And because of these false statements and false allegations, I've had increased threats to my life, and it had
Look, I can't.
my personal
I know it's
security.
tough to watch, man. It's tough to watch. I mean, look, I'll say first off, we don't know, what threats have been made to his life or not. I'll acknowledge, but the burden of command is the burden of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel that anybody should ever threaten physical violence towards, elected officials. And that's certainly been increasing in the last 4 or 5 years, but beyond acknowledging that basic fact, I mean, it's a little over the top, especially with this next part I'm about to play.
Result. To be woken up in the middle of the night to say that somebody's at City Hall saying they're looking for me to kill me.
Why does you need to be woken up at your home for
This
that?
is not my first rodeo. I've been here for a minute.
Yes, you
But
have.
in my 19 years,
He just wants to be a victim, Chuck.
and now as mayor, I've never witnessed anything like this. There were times when Mayor Johnson and I disagreed, or Mayor Jackson and I disagreed, Mayor Deloach and I vehemently disagreed on the course of action of our city. But at the end of the day, we all knew what we wanted to do was best for the city.
No, all of you suckers followed business as usual and fronted for the silos of legacy contractors.
That's right.
And posed as being mayor. Don't lie to us, man. Don't sugarcoat this. Those in the know. And you're no John F. Kennedy, okay?
Yeah, I served with Jack Kennedy. You're no Kennedy, sir.
Yeah.
There's only like 5 minutes left. Keep going.
A council, not as renegades, desirous of nothing but division and divisiveness. We understood what the assignment was. At the end of the day,
Nice pop
you win
reference
some,
there.
you lose some. At the end of the day, we're still Savannah.
Okay. This line about winning some and losing some, this is just it's a falsity, okay? When you change the rules of council and you prevented any single member or 2 members or 3 members or 4 members from putting something on the agenda,
yeah,
you control the flow of votes. So there's no opportunity to win some or lose some. There is the only opportunity for your majority's agenda and you and whatever you and the city manager want to do to get on there. So I mean, you win some, you lose some is a very inappropriate statement about the condition of this council.
Chuck, I have one bit of wisdom here.
Please.
I'm going to quote my dear friend Paul Pilblatt, who 25 years ago told me, John, if you plant corn, you get corn. So the problems that Van is lamenting are his own making. He planted the corn. Sorry, Van, you're not getting any sympathy from me.
Proverbs 17:1 and 2 says that better is a dry morsel with quietness and peace than a house full of feasting with strife and contention.
Okay. I have this up here just from Google. Okay. This is what this mayor just said. Better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. Let them eat cake. Why are you fighting? These people in 28% poverty in this town, it's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. Why are you making our house look bad? That's what I hear right there. And I'm incredibly disappointed that this mayor, after in 45, 50-minute speech would turn to a monarchical, just take it or leave it. You can't, you guys you're better off with nothing and having a cogent city council that doesn't have infighting than getting any real progress and having, a public relations problem. Good God.
Yeah. If to borrow his table metaphor, yeah, he's opened up a lot of seats at the table and invited a lot of people to it, but he fucking picked their pockets before they got seated. I'm sorry. The contention on council is, at the end of the day, merely a frustration for being blocked, shut out, denied, all because of a rule change that Van was sophisticated and wily enough to realize.
Rushed it through.
Yeah.
On a 5-4 vote.
I mean, first he sent Gordon Matthews to contact Ron Stevens to try to do it secretly by fiat. We got wind of that through our contacts in Atlanta and put a stop to it. And when Van was confronted about that, he said, I knew nothing about that. Nothing. That was just a random, one-off, spontaneous request by a constituent. You know what? 3 months later, you get it done on a 5-4 vote, close vote, and it gives you the ability to silence 4 members of council while the other 5 control every damn thing. And he wants to project himself as this magnanimous, benevolent, all-caring, all justice type of mayor. And he basically backroomed a mechanical change in the rules of council so that you can't get something on the agenda unless you have 5 people assent and request that. I mean, he basically just put his boot on the neck of democracy and fair play. And would you be frustrated if that happened to you?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you hear that it's a form of voter suppression, I mean, again, thousands and thousands of people voted for Alicia, Kesha, and Bernetta, and more importantly, I mean, our position as a new driving force of that election, we know what that election was decided on. It was decided on, tiring of Eddie DeLoach's, pure outright love for business and tourism. And, it was a continuation of Edna. There was a revolution based on these core issues. and he's ignored it. There's only a couple minutes left. Let's get through the rest of this.
All right, please.
Because President Abraham Lincoln said, "A house divided cannot stand." Now, I
Lincoln.
believe and I know that we have the potential to be a house of both great feasting and a house of great peace. Your city council all took an oath to serve this city, not our egos. Our neighbors are watching. The world is watching. Our children are watching. Our babies are watching. How can we expect better behavior from them where we're not providing a better example for them? We have to do better.
Take some responsibility for it, man.
See, it's not what
Never.
you leave when you die.
The guy's incapable.
What you
The
leave.
police department's all good now. All the roads are going to get paved. Council's going to get along. I mean, this is a.
We better do better. We got to do better.
This is a fable of epic proportions.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, it's hard to watch, but we're almost done.
Promise me.
Winning a war of words, slanders, and innuendos? Or would you like to be the host of the most caring, hospitable, loving city in the nation? I believe that we can do better than we've done.
Just suck it up and be business as usual, and there will be peace in the valley.
Yeah, suck it up and be you. If you become a host, you'll get dinner at the Channel Club, and your nonprofits will be funded better, and please, just rethink your position, please.
You could be living the good life like Dietrich and Linda, Nick, and Curtis.
I don't think they look like they're living any good life.
Manner that is required as mayor of this city. I have to. I have great examples. We all have to do the same. We must do the same.
We must.
And I do not like for the top story of all the great things happening in our city is a drop on streets. That's not going to be our narrative. We are a shining city. We are the city sitting on the top of the hill with the light shining.
Not the Reagan reference.
People are paying attention to Savannah. I cannot tell you how many times this year the White House come a calling. They want Savannah at the table.
They want you, baby.
They understand the work that they're doing. They're asking us to
Can I help you pack, Van?
to apply for grants. They want to help us to be all we can be. We have the potential to be the hope for this nation.
Wow.
But please, my beloved colleagues, before we cast another vote, let's put down the egos and let's search our hearts for how we can better serve the city and one another. No one have ever asked us to agree. We're different. We come from different places. We have different ideas. We have different views.
Amen.
The most interesting thing about this is that this council is more philosophically aligned than any council we've had in years.
Neither have different.
No, it is not.
God,
let's rebut that right away. No, it is not.
Yeah, this is a fucking fairy tale.
You got the same 6-3-5-4. Look, John, when Eddie Deloach was mayor, he had Carol Bell 100% of the time, or and a John Hall every once in a while. This mayor has his 5 plus Estella most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So for him to say that with his experience on council, it's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous claim. Let's finish this.
You keep saying that, man.
We agree on what
there's so much bad to talk about.
And most of the time we're voting 9-0. Most of the time.
Yeah.
And even when the votes are
split, pencils and paper.
Okay, I didn't get it this time. We could disagree without being disagreeable. Please, colleagues,
Please.
Let us be better. Let us do better. And please, for the sake of God, let us treat each other better. We can do that. We can do that. We can do it. We can do it. You expect more from us, and that's what we're going to provide for you. And I said all of that to say that Savannah is rejuvenated. Our best days are before us, and we're moving forward together. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you from wherever you are. Thank you for thinking about us. Thank you for praying for us. Thank you for encouraging us. It's not easy sitting in these seats.
Oh,
Particularly for our new ones who did not realize that your life becomes a fishbowl in one day. And all of a sudden, everything you say, everything you do is criticized. It's not easy for them. Let's give them a round of applause for, we could do a little bit better than that.
I love the ladies in the middle right here. Just
as always,
no support.
May God bless you, and may God.
All right, that's enough of that, John. I told you, the front half was all, brags, and then the back part there was. Whew.
Well, look at Chuck. There was no mention of what is now a precarious and probably failing fairgrounds project. How much time and effort has gone into that? It's all going to naught. Take a look at Broughton Street. He didn't show any compassion or concern about, the 100 merchants on Broughton Street that
none whatsoever. Never even mentioned Broughton Street.
No.
Just avoiding all of the, obvious things in the room. But it's part of me thinks that was a last ditch effort before he sharpens for a campaign.
Well, Chuck,
or perhaps a farewell before he pieces out to an appointed job somewhere. Go ahead.
Won't he have enough time to pull off one more state of the city before the next election?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Come on. It'll be right before early voting, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of manufactured consent, I rate this a 9 out of 10 effort from, the fact that the majority of the audience was children and not voters.
Yeah.
The incredibly well-produced videos that included previously recorded segments from Alderwoman Bernetta Lanier. I can't speak for her, but somebody should reach her for comment that if she agreed to have those used for his speech. I would be interested to know that. But obviously just so many cliches in this speech, the Reagan line, just the overwriting, and as you'll hear from Kesha, if you didn't already last night, like never before have Savannians been subject to such efforts to maintain this guy's image. I've never seen anything like it before in 19 years, to paraphrase the mayor, John.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if I was an actor in Hollywood, I would want Van Johnson to be my agent. I don't want him to be my mayor. You know what I mean?
Let me just say this. If Van Johnson gets appointed to some big job, I have no doubt he'll be good at it. He's a lifelong bureaucrat. Again, it's not personal. It's just these politics are antiquated for this city now, John.
Yeah, it's the big takeaway. If you jump up to a macro view of this thing, the emperor has no clothes comes to mind. People are not stupid. They're going to see their tax bills go up. They can try to go downtown and see the mayhem that is the Broughton Streetscape project, a SPLOST project. The 3.5 remaining minority members of council are not alone. They have huge followings. Their followings are getting bigger, and Van Johnson's following is shrinking. And his band of reliable votes have got to be pretty concerned and nervous right now, Chuck. They've pinned everything on Van, his success.
Well, the T-Splosh election on Tuesday is going to tell the entire story. I'll be looking for where votes end up in the first and the fifth, in the second and the third, and the fourth and the sixth. I'll be looking to see where the city votes on this issue. But I, just based on interactions with the media lately, and the tone of that speech was, from the mayor, to me, did not sound like somebody ready for a tough reelection fight. That's just my takeaway. I think he's held the line as long as he could. The capital has been spent. The political capital has been spent through COVID, and the association, with this Biden White House, whose approval ratings are, do not look like they're going to ever come back above 40%, John. That did not sound like somebody gearing up for a fight. So that's all I want to say.
Okay. Well, thanks for
your other takeaways.
Well, yeah. Lastly, I'm not certain if it would have been more effective for Van, in his own words, to say, look, we held on to Minter for a little too long. We sure had some rough spots in the Broughton Streetscapes $17 million SPLOST project. And the arena got rushed together, and it's a beautiful project, but we still got work to do. And I'm the guy to lead the council to see through that, completion and solving these other issues. And I want your support to get us there. We've done a lot of good work, but there's a lot more that remains to be done. I would have liked him better. I would have believed him more. Instead, we have, the tumbler and polished stone that is zirconium, not diamond. So, I mean, I like Van as a person. He was the human resources manager when I was on the county commission. We go back a long.
Incredibly talented politician.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to overplay his hand. He doesn't have to polish the thing to the point of disbelief. It's 2022, man. I thought it was correct or appropriate or hip or whatever you want to call it to take responsibility for shit. And he doesn't. Everything is picture perfect and in motion.
The buck does not stop here.
No, he's no Harry Truman. Absolutely not.
No Harry Truman, no Jack Kennedy, no Ronald Reagan.
No, he's kind of James Buchanan.
To quote the most famous rapper from my hometown, 1 Pac, 2 Pac, 3 Pac, 4, 3 Pac, 2 Pac, 1 Pac, none. Just like, it's not there, man. The emperor has no clothes. The capital has been spent, and we're T-minus 52 weeks from city council elections, basically now. I think really, it's going to be wild, John.
I think really what he was in that last segment, Chuck, his pleading for everybody to get along, I think, was twofold. He only told us about one reason for that. The other reason that was unspoken is you guys are making this whole council front page news, and I want peace in the valley. So would you all just get in line and quit embarrassing this council.
Or else what though? I mean, I just don't understand what the extension of that logic. I mean, I heard a heartfelt plea for peace in the valley. I mean that was heartfelt, but
Yeah, but I'm asking what were the reasons for it, and I think he has ulterior motives beyond the obvious, and he's never going to get it. And there's a reason the Constitution is written the way it's written. Between Madison and Jefferson, they argued forever, but checks and balances were a fundamental circuit breaker. They had to put them in. So there are checks, and Kesha, Alicia, and Bernetta, and previously Estella were the checks. It is organic. It is natural. Now, could it be smoother, nicer, more diplomatic? Absolutely. But that's their style.
This is the check. This is the check, John.
Absolutely.
I think this no vote on the T-Splost is a huge check to the establishment writ large. And, I take the fact that our Facebook stream got taken down tonight as, no other recent proof evidence that, they're hurting right now. They're not liking the fact that everyday citizens, left, right, black, white, no matter where you're from, who you are, what you ideologically believe, nobody is really for this right now. It's not the right timing.
Yeah, they can't. In the past, they've been able to spend money and gin up some support for sales tax referendums. It's just not happening this round, Chuck. The independents are against it. The conservatives, the Republicans are against it. The progressives are against it. Only a few liberals are voting out of it just out of habit.
Who are just really attached to one project. I'm sure the Highlands will vote, 60% for it. I don't blame them either. I don't blame them either. But we're going to leave you with Kesha, Alderwoman at Large, Kesha Gibson-Carters Response that we hosted last night. Thank John for his quick action to have Kesha come over and record near downtown because I saw that. Well, we had saw that he was going to be. Kesha had planned to do this.
Again. She was shut down.
Yeah, she was just going to do it in a conference room at the Cultural Arts Center. And
Jay Melder, but I have to
said no.
And the mayor,
of course, he had to check with the mayor, and then of course
they said
not
no.
Let her do it.
Can't do it.
And it's just like the media was already on site, and they were ready to, jump in there after and film it, which would have been, a little bit better of a look, for decorum and how things go at the federal level. I just want to say this plea. I could play a litany of clips from Newt Gingrich to John Boehner. John Boehner, openly wept on the House floor and said, and took the Lord's name in vain multiple times, GD on the House floor. This is nothing new. Give me liberty or give me death.
Well,
Chuck, where's your history?
Think about it in a historical context. Every other commission or council, as long as I've been here 30 years, has been a docile, quiet council with an occasional bit of controversy. They're not all peace in the valley. Every council has some controversy, but Van has elevated the controversy of this council to a level never seen before. And it just provokes and stokes it more and more. He brings it out. He's part of the problem. And actually, he's the original sin because of the sneaky charter change. Trying to get people to understand it's a pretty tough job, but we're doing it. So anyway, thanks for another hour and a half. I'll never get back consuming.
Hey, look, I feel you, pal. I'm not. Why is this really not going to let me share? I'm going to have to go to our Facebook page. Is this a Windows thing? Golly, man, I'm telling you, I'm getting tired, pal.
Yeah, man.
Let me pull it up here. But I just want to tell everybody, join us, Tuesday night, roughly 9:45, 10 p.m. Yep. I think we'll come on, we'll do at least 30 minutes. Hopefully that there's some election results to go on. But more importantly, if you have not voted, Go
Right.
out and vote. Get out there and vote.
Vote no on T-Splost.
That's right. For all the reasons this page has mentioned, on our campaigns on digital advertising the last 2 months, there is a variety of reasons. The most important of which is the fact that, they refuse to complete the lost negotiations until this election is over, which is unfair. It's a bayonet, it's a gun to our heads. I'm not comfortable with it.
Gotcha.
It's coming. It's coming. Tell the people something more, John. All right.
Elon
Close
Musk.
the show out. Oh, I know, right? Twitter. We never got taken down from Twitter or YouTube.
Or
Shouts
Ye.
out to Google.
It's Ye or Elon.
It's the Zuck who shut us out tonight. All right. Appreciate y'all joining us. Episode 103. A long one, a tough one. I'm sorry it was so long. I'm sorry it was so tough on you, John.
Sorry.
Next time, election night, Tuesday. See you guys then.
Hello, Savannah. We just heard Mayor Van Johnson's State of the City address. It reminded me of a speech he delivered nearly 3 years ago. The one where this mayor promised a specific kind of leadership. He promised to put a leaf in the table so that there would be more seats. He promised to unite a city and govern for all Savannians, no matter how they voted. That was his pitch then, much like his pitch tonight. Savannah, my friends, need more than just rhetoric. We need real progress through better public policy. There is a real difference. Contention, you ask? The contention, the very contention that this mayor deliberately created. This council is more known for its contention than its progress. I don't want to spend much time here, but I want to say to you that you do need to know how and why this occurred. You deserve an explanation. Unfortunately, this council's majority has not delivered the progress you elected them to deliver. Within months of taking office, the mayor changed how council operates, which is polar opposite from our charter. We have been prevented from bringing to the floor vital subjects and new policy initiatives that would effectuate real immediate change in Savannah. We have been shut out and denied equal access to the agenda, which is the initial legislative process to change. Most of the contention on council is from this basic frustration, and it is a direct result of the mayor and his majority hijacking the democratic process. We should be allowed to have honest conversations about common sense, common ground, and about making Savannah a better, stronger community. This requires dialogue. And when one side blocks all discussion, it becomes a one-way street. While he stated that the majority of what we vote on is 9-0, yes, it is. The majority of those items we vote on, we have to keep the lights on. But for those hot topic, highly debated and contested issues, that's where we want you to pay most attention. Again, distraction is the greatest enemy of direction. Do not be fooled. Is Savannah a community or is Savannah a commodity? Is the question I want you to carefully consider tonight, based on what you have seen since we have been in office, based on what you see as you drive through the corridors of the city of Savannah. Let's pause and talk public safety. and mistakes. The mayor has touted long overdue police department raises. More seriously, I want you to know he ignored the cries from police officers who openly went on record saying the police department was being gutted from the inside out via failed leadership. Instead of acting, the mayor extended the tenure of the failed former chief until a federal job could come open. He insulated and protected him while violent crime continued to go up 9% per year. This has set our community back tremendously, not to mention the grief-stricken families who have lost loved ones to senseless gun violence. God bless you. The mayor instead has rushed through $200,000 of city tax dollars to hire a federal prosecutor, no doubt, while ignoring attempts from the district attorney to collaborate to clear the backlog of misdemeanors and felonious acts on the state level. Instead of working together, the mayor chose to maneuver around her, manipulate processes, and gut her office. This administration proudly boasts of its raises to city employees while attempting at every turn to hide the fact that property taxes have gone up so dramatically that these very employees will not be able to live in Savannah. Their rents are being raised to the extent that they will not be able to pay, that their increases will get in the way of the higher rents they will be facing. The chamber agendas and massive projects. The biggest one, Savannah's largest construction project in the history of our city, the arena. There was a rush by this council to open the arena, a project which should have been deemed infeasible at our arrival. But instead, we went forth during a time of global uncertainty, but failed to complete the necessary parking and roads servicing the arena. Most disturbing, on opening day, well through the first quarter, we hadn't passed our own fire inspection, nor had we received a full certificate of occupancy. And now the truth comes out that the Canal District project, an even more complex and more expensive undertaking, has to be built. The Canal District was never voted on by citizens of Savannah, and it currently has no funding. We have poorly prioritized projects to include bike paths to tie the town, which are very important to some citizens of Savannah. But preserving the most vital piece of history in this community is the Weeping Time land. But it has not been given the proper dignity or respect in honest effort. This mayor proudly stands next to the president of the Savannah College of Art and Design as they unveil 21 affordable housing units that they actually no longer need, while avoiding the fact that they relocated or evicted 15 times that many residents from Chatham Apartments, of which most are among the homeless who roam the streets of Savannah. SCAD, while we cannot discount their contributions to Savannah, they own over 170 properties, but pay not a dime in property taxes. And as we routinely hear the mayor say, we're having courageous conversations around pilot fees, those payment in lieu of taxes that many universities throughout the United States contribute to their cities. Again, my friends, rhetoric is no substitute for progress. If SCAD were its own municipality, I submit to you, they would be the 4th largest in Chatham County. and they have no plans to stop growing. Have you seen the 13-story building at the end of River Street? It is long past time for SCAD to come to an agreement for payment in lieu of taxes. We do not seek to be punitive. We do not seek to put out lofty mandates, but what we do want is this entity to pay their fair share so that we are defraying the costs of city services they are increasingly using with the increase to their student population. Affordable housing, housing that is affordable, income-based housing. Despite record investments in affordable housing from voter-approved SPLOST from the 2019 referendum, this mayor has been a day late and a dollar short. A day late and a dollar short for the residents who were cleared out of Clearview, the residents who were bounced out of Bayview, and the residents who were cheated out of Chatham Apartments. Recently, this mayor was feeling himself when they thought a major accomplishment was clearing out the locked up area under the Truman Parkway, the very area where this administration contributed to the influx of homeless individuals and encouraged citizens of Savannah to go down and take food and clothes and toiletries. This administration, because of the interest of big developers over at the Eastern Wharf, because that corridor has been coveted by the interest of big developers, we cleared out Savannah's largest homeless encampment. Did it need to be cleared out? Yes. Did it need to be cleared out when we entered into office 2.5 years ago? Yes. But it was cleared out just in time for the mass development that's taking place in that area where no citizens of Savannah will be able to live there. They say they were able to put multiple homeless families in shelters and relocate them. But we know, in fact, that many people, the mentally ill, the physically challenged, and people struggling with substance abuse issues were put in handcuffs on outstanding charges. Shame on us, Savannah. Another failure to get our neighbors to pay their fair share is a lack of the passage of impact fees. These are fees that go along with the development of new construction to include houses, businesses, manufacturing companies. These fees help to establish services like police, fire, infrastructure. But just last week, this mayor stated that an area like the Highlands, he would prefer to exempt all housing from impact fees, with the average new construction home selling well into $300,000. The need to keep affordable housing does not apply to the vast majority of development. We can do better, Savannah. We can work strategic exemptions into the impact fee ordinance if we had political will, but this mayor would rather play favorites to ensure all development pays its fair share. More taxes, T-SPLOST, the Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our credibility is declining. This is an administration that will look you dead in the eye and tell you to tax yourself another $450 million for T-SPLOST, a glorified slush fund, while failing to complete the Broughton streetscape that is posing major interruption to businesses, particularly our smaller local businesses on Broughton Street, another SPLOST project. More task forces, tourism, and more delays. It's the absence of leadership from the mayor and his dedication to endless tourism that has prevented Chatham County delegation from reworking and reapproving a new, expanded, and most importantly, an equitable hotel motel tax. And despite the many task force, 16 and counting, it's incredibly difficult to see any real progress for those who previously did not have seats at the table. Where is your leaf? Where is your chair? Delayed by task force is a strategy, my friends. Never before have everyday citizens experienced such efforts to maintain public relations. And for what? A press conference every Tuesday, a live broadcast every Friday, an update video on Saturday morning. Be clear. Do not mistake activity for achievement. More on taxes. For the last 2 years or more, this council's majority has not fully rolled back the millage rate, thereby raising taxes on Savannahans. Mayor Johnson continues to boast of the lowest millage rate since 1987, as if you're not deserving of more. But his failure of leadership has led this community to the edge of the property tax cliff. Take the current negotiations for loss. Loss is a local option sales tax. These negotiations and the tax revenue sharing agreement with County Chairman Chester Ellis must be met. Rather than acknowledging the unique burden our city places on county government when it comes to the justice system, which beyond our police department is 100% funded by the county. Again, my friends, that is not leadership. Leadership includes the idea of compromise. Citizens of Savannah now face the uncertain future of immediately experiencing higher rising housing costs. Understand this. The failure to recertify the loss agreement prior to December 31st of this year will result in the single largest property tax increase in the history of Savannah. Let me say this again. Listen closely. The failure to recertify the loss agreement prior to December 31st will result in the single largest property tax increase in the history of Savannah, thereby contributing to mass forced displacement in one full swoop among working class, minorities, and marginalized citizens of Savannah. Even the most wealthy will feel the pinch. Nothing else is more important right now if we want to maintain our blended culture of Savannah. If we want to keep Savannah as we know her and love her, nothing else is more important right now than arriving at consensus with the loss negotiations. Because of this mayor's pride and ego and the opportunism of Chairman Chester Ellis, the two sides are nowhere close to compromise. All of this, listen closely again, all of this while the same donors who have bankrolled both the mayor and chairman's reelection campaigns have spent over $125,000 to tell you to tax yourself out of your community. They have spent $125,000 plus on commercials and T-Splosh billboards and T-Splosh yard signs for you to tax yourself more. In closing, I asked the question, is Savannah a community or a commodity? Tonight, we heard the mayor talk a lot about community. Despite the rhetoric, the last 3 years, Savannah has been treated indeed as a commodity. It's past time we start working on community. A community where we make our police department whole by keeping homegrown and department-grown police officers, where we get out of the way of the chief and allow him to hire and retain people who are ready to serve and not ready to shoot. A community where we are serious about reducing homelessness among families with children and not diverting resources to our cherry-picked charities, and to focus more seriously on episodic street homelessness. We want to arrive at a community where we are protecting sacred land and homeowners and not desecrating it. A community where people who were born here, who grew up here, who were raised here, got married here, will be able to afford to leave here. Not one where people are being taxed out of their neighborhoods. We want a community where we bridge divides and not promote and create them. We want a community that's about us, a united Savannah. Listen, we've traveled a long road over the last 2.5 years. It's been a pleasant ride meeting many of you throughout the city of Savannah and all 6 districts. While bumpy sometimes, I want you to know that we are continuing to stay the course, and we will continue to do what we said we were going to do in 2019. We're going to advocate for the issues that are most important to you. We're going to make ourselves accessible to you beyond the corridors of the Gold Dome. And we're going to inspire you to engage, get involved, and own your rightful place in this political environment. Listen, Savannah, it's been a long night. It's been a long week. Stay safe and always know I love you, Savannah.